there's been mounting criticism from podcasters in the manosphere. That's Joe Rogan, Tim Dillon, Andrew Schulz, pushing back on Donald Trump's immigration raids, this policy that has clearly gone beyond what many of them thought they were going to be seeing out of this administration. Here's a clip from Tim Dillon.
We need the rule of law, obviously.
Oh my gosh.
Is there a better way to do these ICE raids? I think Trump's losing support amongst, they did a poll recently about Latinos. Is there a better way, a more humane way to conduct some of these raids? Because I think there are a lot of people that go, we want a border, we need a country, and that certain people also need to be deported. Absolutely. Yeah. But when people see children being zip tied or a grandmother being zip tied, and these are people who've maybe lived in a community 30 years and they're not committing a crime, they're here illegally, we know that. To me, you see a lot of people that are, more moderate types, people like myself that very much want a border and a country.
Right.
But I look at, showing up to a high school graduation and deporting someone's father. I go, this seems to a lot of people to be inhumane.
As a conservative and as a business owner in the construction industry and as a realist, I can say we have to do something about labor, and that needs to be a smarter plan than just rounding up every single person and deporting them just like that.
Right.
So, and I'm going to get pushback on that, but I'm just living in reality from here on out.
Yeah.
And if anybody's mad at me for saying the truth, then I'm sorry.
Sounds like a liberal. What a rhino.
Yeah, I mean, it's clearly shocking people, even those on the right. I mean, Tim Dillon bringing this up on his own, even relatively softly to somebody like Marjorie Taylor Greene in an interview, means that is clearly something on his mind. And it's clearly something that is resonating across both the left and the right? Like, we're seeing this huge backlash to these immigration raids in different parts of the country, from LA and Chicago. And of course, a lot of these raids are taking place in, what are traditionally Democratic or liberal bastions, to sort of like pour salt in the wound there, to almost make it even more difficult on everybody so they could point out the backlash from the crazy liberals. And we're trying to round up the criminals. We're just going after the bad guys. But Tim Dillon's not the only one who's been pushing back. Joe Rogan has been saying this. He said, no one with a heart is going to go along with this. And I did not ever anticipate seeing this sort of thing on TV on a regular basis. He said, I really thought they were just going to go after the criminals. I really thought there was enough gang members and enough people, MS-13, whatever, that they would just go after those guys. I mean, Joe, you are so naive. You're the absolute best.
Was he not listening to Donald Trump at all during the campaign? It's not like they were quiet about this. They've been pretty open about their plans. Anyone who pays any attention to conservative politics, to what Donald Trump's been saying, to what Stephen Miller's been saying, would have known that this was basically what they want to do, and that the cruelty would be the key aspect of it, right? That's almost the point of it. There's the famous Adam Sewer piece, I think, from The Atlantic, from the Trump 1.0, that says the cruelty is the point. And that's exactly what this administration is trying to do with these videos, by showing everyone that they are, that they're tough, supposedly, and they're arresting these people. That's the whole point.
Yeah, I mean, it also feels very performative, right? Remember the beginning of this when we saw Kristi Noem, who goes out wearing the immigration uniforms, and they have her posing, and she's full hair and makeup. She's out there on the scene.
She's still doing that.
She did that cosplaying as an agent.
She did it with Benny Johnson. Remember the other day? She took the right-wing propagandist Benny Johnson to the Walmart, and then the federal agents went into the Walmart and I think arrested a couple people. What is going? I mean, that is really, I feel like, dystopian stuff when you have federal agents raiding a Walmart like that, and then having the right-wing propagandist with the, DHS or whatever vest on. But that's the stuff that they're speaking out against. But anyone who was paying attention during the campaign would have told you that this is exactly what Donald Trump said he was going to do. He was going to be cruel to the immigrant class in this country.
Yeah, and I think that's the sort of other part of this that's so gross is that the administration is tapping these mouthpieces like Benny Johnson for these effective ride-alongs to post this stuff online, all within this construct of like, we're doing the hard work, we're out there getting the criminals off the street. It's really disgusting. And but I do think this administration feels like it has to be accountable, like it has to feed the right-wing beast on platforms like X and others, where every day they're posting, videos, especially on the Homeland Security account on there. A lot of the stuff is like, very very dripping with like irony and meme culture. We even saw some push back on it. I think it was Theo Vaughn who pushed back on DHS using a clip of his own on their account saying, hey, I didn't approve for you to do this stuff. Please take down any videos of me talking about immigration. I want out. I want off of this whole thing. I feel very differently about it. But they're doing this because they feel like they can whip up, I imagine, younger people, but people who are on the right, who are really in tune, extremely online, and they want this stuff. They're fighting the culture wars every day online. And by posting videos of immigration raids, migrants in handcuffs coming out of these places, it just feeds the beast. And it's like this fresh red meat every day. And it feels like that's what they're doing here with Benny Johnson.
Yeah. And I think it's not almost like they are portraying these people as subhuman to some extent. With the way they talk about them, the way they just like go catch them, almost like it's like prey or something that they're going to go catch.
They did the Pokemon thing. Remember, it was catch them all, and it was like what?
The alligator Alcatraz, if you remember, where they were boasting about the inhumane conditions and the mosquitoes and the alligators and how hot it was. That they are intentionally portraying immigrants in this country as less than human. They're otherizing them in ways we've really never seen a president do up until Donald Trump. And it's frankly gross. But the thing I think that Trump should be worried about to some extent, and the Republicans, is this manosphere podcasting, block. They're very influential, and a lot of people do turn to them for news information. And Joe Rogan and Tim Dillon and Andrew Schulz, they're basically telling their audience that this is not good. And they're giving them permission to rebel against this administration. They're not running cover for them the way that the older propagandists, the Fox News hosts are doing. And I think if the Republican Party really wants to continue to have a hold on this demographic, which, it seemed like they did to some extent in the last election, they should be worried about losing these people and people like Marjorie Taylor Greene. It's not good if you're Donald Trump and someone like Marjorie Taylor Greene, who is really far right, is saying you're gone too far. That should be a warning sign, a red alarm for these people that they've lost the plot.
Yeah. I do think that, though, even as far as they've come with the pushback, even that they're getting from this space, that this could not happen without the creation of and the constant feeding of this far right online ecosystem of influencers and media outlets who will support this sort of thing, who will treat it with fanfare and praise. This would be for the mainstream news organizations and even just like everyday Americans. People would be looking at this and saying, this is not what we're about. We want to get immigration under control, but we have this whole space now where you go, how should I feel about this video? And the video is put in completely different context as like, this is great, we're getting these criminals out. But that language is, it's oftentimes inaccurate, but it also dehumanizes these people. And I think it sets up this scenario where the administration is just in this feedback loop where they continue to send them the videos and the memes and the dehumanizing stuff without end. And I think it is very worrying. And this administration knows that when you look at the data, they've actually are behind previous administrations, including Democratic ones like the Biden or Obama administration, in terms of the actual deportations. So they're going for this really low-hanging fruit, Going into a Walmart, what are we grabbing? Like clerks? Are we grabbing like the guy who's doing your bags? Is that the target of this now? This is crazy. I thought it was MS-13. But they are enabled by this far-right outlets like Benny Johnson and OAN who say, this is great stuff.
Thank you for watching Power Lines. For more analysis and insight, subscribe to our YouTube channel down below, like this video, and you can watch more of us right over here.